Clients. Know how they never have an endless amount of changes? Yeah, well, client changes are a fact of life, and it's always important to be able to iterate and show clients a variety of options so they can pick their favorite. And in the past, this required making multiple project versions and managing a bunch of different files, but not with Cinema 4D Takes. What Takes does is it allows you to basically have a project within a project, and in this video, I'll show you how you can use the Take system for easy iteration. So let's just say our imaginary client wanted to see multiple color variations of this scene to pick their favorite from. So what we're going to do is go into this Takes tab that we haven't really covered just yet, and you'll see that we have this main take right here. So this is basically, think of this as your main project that we have right now. Now, if we wanted to create a variation off of this project, what we're going to do is right click and go to New Child Take. And what this is going to do is create a new take, or think of this as a new project within a project that we can go and make changes to. Okay, so what we're going to do is in this take, we'll change the backdrop color to say purple. So I'm going to double click, and it's helpful to name these takes. So if you have a bunch of them, you know exactly what each one is doing. And with this purple take selected, which you know which take you have selected by these little crosshairs. So it's just the same kind of crosshair that we have for the cameras. So if I click on that main take crosshair, you can see I'm looking through that. But if I click on the purple one and activate that, you can see I'm making all of my changes in this purple take, which is very important. You know which take you're making all these changes in. So with the purple take active, I'm going to go and double click on my backdrop here. And you can see I got my standard material selected. And you'll notice I can't make any changes to the color of this material. And why that is because it's trying to save yourself from yourself. You don't want to automatically make changes all over the place without knowing what you're doing. So what Cinema 4D does by default in this take mode is it locks everything. And if you need to unlock a specific parameter, what you're going to do is just right click on the name and then go to override. And what that's going to do is you can see that now I can change this to say purple like that. And you're also going to notice something happened in this categories area here. Now what happens here is basically storing all the changes that you made in this take. So if I twirl this down, you can see there's our backdrop material, Redshift standard node, the base properties, base color, and this is what we changed and what is stored in this take. So one of the interesting things is too, that instead of going back into this color chip, we can actually just go into this take, double click on that color chip, twirl this down, and make a color change directly within the take manager there, which is kind of handy. Okay, so with that stored there, what we can do is say, okay, let's make another take and we'll change the background to pink. So what I'm going to do is again, select on that main take, go to New Child Take. Again, let's aptly name this to pink. And again, we're looking through that take. And instead of going in here and right clicking and choosing override, what we can actually do is turn on auto take, which will then automatically store any changes we want to, kind of like auto keyframing. So what I'm going to do is turn that on by clicking on this A icon here, and you can see that that automatically unlocked every single option here. So if we wanted to make a bunch of changes, like change this to pink, but then we also wanted to say, change the reflection roughness for whatever reason, we can do that here as well. Now, in that pink take, you'll see, if I twirl this down, we not only have the base color changed, but you can also see the value that we changed the roughness to, stored right there as well. And again, if we wanted to change this directly in the take manager, we can double click and adjust this in here as well. Again, super handy. Now, one of the things to watch out for is that you're not forgetting that you're in a child take and you start making changes, because that will only be stored in that pink take. So you need to be very careful when you're using this auto take. So what I recommend you do is maybe not work in auto take if you're not doing a bunch of different changes, and then just going in and manually going in and overriding and all that kind of stuff, just so you save yourself from yourself. So let's just say our client wanted to change the size of these claws in all the versions. Well, if we want to have a change trickle down to all the children takes, what we're going to do is make sure we're looking through the main take, and you'll see we're back on our main take with that original blue color here. And what we'll do is we'll turn on auto take here, and I'm going to Command or Control and right click with my mouse hovering over the claw so I can actually click anything underneath my cursor, because right now the fishbowl is kind of blocking my way, so I'm only able to select the fishbowl. But if I go and I stop holding down the Command or Control key, I can go and just select the left claw and then hit T, scale that down, and then hit E for the move tool and just kind of reposition that. Same thing for the right claw, so Command or Control, right click, and I'll stop holding the Command or Control key and I'll hit the right claw and we'll bring that down, hit the E key and move this down. And so I did all these changes in the main take with the main take active. So that means that since I did it in the main take, it'll trickle down all those changes to the children takes. Now, let's just say we wanted to not only change the background of this take purple, but we also wanted to shrink down the claws even more. Make sure we have the purple take active. And in this purple take, we'll just go and in object mode, scale down this claw and then also move this in. And we'll scale this down and move this in. And what you'll see is that now, in addition to the material folder being here, you can see that in the claw take, you can see that underneath all the claw objects, you can see that we changed the position and the scale values to these corresponding values here, okay? So that's how you know if something's stored or not within a take. And so with those changes stored just in this purple take, if I go back to my main take, you can see that scale value is just stored there, okay? So this is kind of a great way to say you want to try out different looks or scaling of the crab character or rearranging any of these objects and you just want to, again, audition it. You can do that all within a take. So with all of these changes, what we can do is then render these out to show our client, right? So to do that, we're going to go into our render settings and we're going to go to save and make sure we have save regular images. Now I'm just going to go and save a still render. So I'm going to make sure I'm set to just current frame range. So it's just going to render this first frame. And if I go to save, one of the things that we can utilize to help us create our rendered files here is using something called tokens. And what tokens do is you can access all of them here, is they help you name rendered files based off of certain type of data. So you can name a project file based on, say, your computer name, or in our instance, we want to actually render out each image to have the name of the take in there. And so again, this is why we named our takes the way we did, because they're descriptive of that scene, okay? So the purple is the purple version, pink is the pink version, right? And so what we're gonna do so that our image file is the same name as our takes, we're gonna go and just choose current take name, and that's going to add this $take, which is basically code to tell Cinema 4D, hey, when I render out all of these takes, use the names of the takes for the actual name of that rendered image file, okay? So let's just change this to PNG, 16-bit. We'll uncheck multipass image because we don't need that. And now to render all of these images at once, what we're gonna do is go to render, and you can say render all takes, or if you already had the blue version rendered and you just wanted to render the pink and purple, you can go and check those two on, and under render, you can go to render marked takes, okay? So another interesting thing too is that, say you wanted to use different camera angles and you had multiple cameras in your scene, what you could do is actually for each take, choose which camera angle you're looking through. And even better, you can go and change your render settings for each take as well. So let's just say your client also wanted a square version. So what we could do is right click on your render settings, go to new child, and this will be square. And with that render setting active, go to our output, and we'll just do 1280 by 1280. And what we can do now is, let's just say that purple take we want to render using the square render settings and render a square composition. We can go and say, instead of inherent from parent, choose the square render settings, and that will then render this purple take with that square composition. And so with that all set up, what we can do is go to render all takes, and you'll see that the first render it's going to fire off is that main take, or our blue take, and you can see that blue is the name of our PNG file. And so once that render is done, you'll now see it's going on to the second take, and you can see that this is again inheriting the name of that take, which is now the pink take. And finally, we have our purple take, which, if you remember, is our square composition. So you'll not only see that it's rendering it out with the purple take name, but it's also using that square render setting preset that we set in that purple take as well. So this only really scratches the surface of what is possible using takes and render tokens. So be sure to check out more in-depth videos on takes and render tokens on Cineversity to learn a lot more about this really time-saving feature.